Jordan with the Young Turks and TYT Politics. I am here in Flint, Michigan. I'm here in front of the Genesee County Courthouse. Genesee County is actually the county that Flint is part of. Genesee County has a prosecutor. His name is David Layton. His phone number is in the headline there, along with some others. About exactly 26 days ago, Ty on camera and we were at a church here in Flint. There was a town hall. They do these town halls on an ongoing basis. Obviously, the town halls are associated to the water crisis. This town hall, they were going to be having Mayor Karen Weaver expanding on her decision to keep Flint on Detroit's water system. If the very short version of the story, obviously in 2014, they switched Flint from Detroit's water system to the Flint River. That ended up in a toxic lead-contaminated crisis. The media has not been focusing on that crisis, basically believing numbers from the EPA that say, oh, things are all better in Flint. I'm here to tell you that's not the case. So at this town hall, obviously there are residents that are very frustrated with the lack of results here. There are residents that are frustrated that they do not have their medical bills fully covered, the medical bills that have been dumped on them for being poisoned. There are residents frustrated that the pipes have not been changed. There are residents frustrated that they still cannot drink the water here. There are residents frustrated that there is now bacteria being found in the water. However, the city and state, when you mention that, they go white in the face, don't want to talk about bacteria. So at this town hall, as you see in many areas, residents express their frustration, their dissent. From the beginning of that town hall, the police commissioner, his name is Tim Johnson, kind of set the tone, saying something along the lines of, I'm not messing around here. If you get out of line, I'm escorting you out, and you're going to jail. And that's exactly what they did. They threw 6 residents in jail overnight. I know some of those residents through reporting here the last 6 months to a year. Tony Palladino, his wife Leah Palladino, a 19-year-old named Abel Delgado, a gentleman named Aaron Block, and 2 others. So I went to the courthouse after, because usually when you get arrested, or citizens get arrested, you kind of have an idea what they're getting arrested for. They are in lockup, and then they're brought before a judge. There is an arraignment after those arrests. If citizens did something as serious as assault a police officer, that is some of the charges that the city said they were bringing forth. Disorderly conduct, interfering with a police officer, and assaulting a police officer. The assault a police officer is a very violent crime. It's serious, so you probably would not let the people who allegedly did that out of jail the next day. So what happened here is you had these 6 in lockup. Again, not brought before a judge, no arraignment, let out, and it's been 26 days since then. There's been, generally speaking, crickets coming from the city, which is the mayor's office, the prosecutor's office, which is here, the city attorney. So you have Genesee County, again, which is the county. Prosecutor David Layton, he is overseeing 5 out of the 6 of the cases. On the Flint city level, that's Angela Wheeler. She is the interim chief legal officer in the city of Flint. She is overseeing 1 of the cases. The city, the state, none of them have explained to me why are 5 being overseen by the county and 1 being overseen by the city. They have not answered me on why there was no arraignment for these 6 citizens, why they were never brought before a judge, why, if allegedly some of them assaulted a police officer, why were they let out in the first place? And making matters even more dubious, I just went in here to the county clerk. I didn't bring in, Ty didn't come in with his camera or anything. So I went to the county clerk's office and I simply offered them 3 of the names to see where is the investigation at. Is there any update? Is there a court hearing set? Is there anything? Give me something about these arrests. And they don't even have the 3 names, 3 out of the 6, they don't have any record of even the arrest. So essentially what you have is 6 people were thrown in lockup, 6 lead-poisoned citizens that were thrown in lockup. They essentially, their crime was voicing dissent in a church. I think 1 or 2 might have cursed. And they were thrown in jail, but there's no record of it at the county clerk's office. The city and the county have not explained why they were never arraigned, where the investigation is at, what is being investigated. Folks, dare I say, I mean, unless there's records, which they did not just show me, this is kind of like a kidnapping. when you just throw American citizens in jail, you don't give them any paperwork, you don't bring them before a judge, there's no arraignment, there's no bail, there's no anything, and 26 days later, they are still, quote, under pending further investigation, which is essentially a dark cloud hanging over their head. Assaulting a police officer is a felony. So some of these residents, they don't even know. None of these residents have had it explained to me, you are being charged with assaulting a police officer. You are being charged with disorderly conduct. Been no communication in writing, no communication verbally, nothing. The mayor's office have basically offered platitudes about we don't get involved in pending investigations. When I asked, do you have any comment in general about what your thoughts are on lead-poisoned citizens being arrested at a church for basically voicing frustration, they don't want to talk about it. No response. The county prosecutor, no response. The city attorney, no response. So I'm led to believe that for whatever reason there was a tone set that night, April 20th, that we're not going to let people get out of line, and the police commissioner aggressively tossed people in jail. Again, basically for no reason, no actual crimes were committed, and now they're basically trying to sweep it under the rug by doing nothing. Really, as Jank said, they did a segment on Friday on the show, as I'm saying, really all you have to do is come out and say there will be no charges filed and move on, right? That's really what needs to happen here, because again, we have video. My man Ty on camera ran out like a devil, shot the video. There is no video to support assaulting a police officer. There's no video to support interfering with a police investigation. There's no video to support disorderly conduct. There's video to support lead-poisoned residents in Flint, Michigan, voicing their concerns and frustration with their government. Kind of America, you know? If we have a democracy, you're allowed to do that. So, essentially, like I said, I just went in there. They don't even have records of these people's arrests, so that's strange. I'll give you, to remind you, I did a story on the Young Turks Medium page the other day. This is what I got from the city. Quote, the cases related to the town hall are still with the officer in charge in the warrant packet preparation phase and have not been presented to the prosecutor's office for review yet. Kristen Moore, who's the city spokesperson, told me. I am told this is typical and the process is progressing as it should. Well, Kristen, I'm told this is not typical. I'm told that when you throw 6 people in jail and you're claiming that they, I don't know how many because nobody's told anybody, some of them assaulted a police officer, you would bring them before a judge, you'd arraign them, and it's very unlikely that you'd let them out. So this whole process is not standard. There's also the fact that, again, even the folks' attorneys, I'm going to interview the ACLU in a few hours, the folks' attorneys have not been communicated with on what these charges are, where the investigation is at, what they are investigating. Typically, in investigation, you would interview eyewitnesses who are also there. You might want to bring in the people you're charging and interview them. As far as I know, nobody's been interviewed from that town hall. No eyewitnesses, certainly not the people who there's potential charges hanging over their head. So why is this important? Because this is bigger than just Flint, as we've seen in other states, whether it's North Dakota, Tennessee is now pushing laws to basically criminalize protests in the First Amendment. I think Flint is a particularly special situation. These aren't citizens just out, you know, on a Sunday protesting. These are citizens that through no fault of their own were poisoned. So I think like there's a certain level of empathy that might be allowed at a town hall when they're voicing their frustration that 3 years later, recently the 3-year anniversary that they switched the water source, nothing substantial has been done to improve their lives or to make them whole. They're not going to be made whole. A lot of them have cognitive brain damage that's permanent. A lot of them have immune issues that are permanent. But the medical bills that are piling up that they're not getting fully paid for, the pipes that still are not being changed, and the lack of transparency for why is it taking so long. Also, the investigation going on into the Flint water crisis that's being operated by the governor of Michigan, who is responsible for the crisis. So as somebody who I'm going to interview later today told me, and I'm not minimizing rape, it's like your rapist performing the rape kit. So there's a lot of inconsistencies. There's a lot of not by the book processes that are going on here. Again, if I assaulted a police officer, you better believe I would not be let out the next day, and I would be brought before a judge. So I'm here to keep this in the spotlight, because certainly the corporate media doesn't give a shit. It's not involved with Donald Trump. But it's very important when American citizens who have a First Amendment, it's very important that they are able to exercise that First Amendment. Now, if you walk into a church and they say, church rules, you got to take off your hat, I might not like that, but that's not a crime. And if they don't want to take off their hat, they're free to leave. But that's not what we're talking about. That town hall, I walked into that town hall, there were 3 armed police officers in the back, 1 in the front. You had the police commissioner basically taunting residents in the beginning, saying if you don't act according to what I think is appropriate decorum, you're going to prison or jail. And now, 26 days later, we don't have any answers. 3 out of the 6, I just gave their names. Excuse me, 4 out of the 6, I just gave their names. 0 records here in the jail. That's kidnapping. Where are the records of these people's arrests? Why was there no arraignment? Why were they not brought before a judge? Where is the investigation at? These are very simple, standard, by-the-book questions that a journalist would ask and that most police departments would have already told the public. So either they are simply burying their heads in the sand and hoping this goes away and hoping that the ridiculous arrests and the fact that they were aggressive with these residents. One resident, Leah Palladino, she put her hand up, screamed bullshit, and she was tackled against the wall, arrested, and she had bruises that I showed the next day on her arm. So the bottom line is, if they're not going to do anything, we're going to do something. You have in this video at the top, you got the office number for Prosecutor David Layton. He might not like it, but that's okay. Give him a call. Ask him where the investigation's at. You got the office number for City Attorney Angela Wheeler. I've been told that Prosecutor Layton's handling 5 of the cases and Wheeler's handling 1 of the cases. Why that division? Who the hell knows? They won't tell me. Give her a call. Ask her where's the investigation at. You got, in fairness, I put up Congressman Dan Kildee's office number. His office has gotten back to me saying we'll have a statement for you soon. I asked, can you tell me what you think about these arrests 26 days later? Because as far as I know, he hasn't issued a statement or given a position. So his office told me that he will be giving a statement. Hopefully that statement is all the potential charges should be dismissed and these residents should be free to go. But Kildee's number is there. He tells me he's going to give me a statement. You got Debbie Stabenow. She is a Michigan senator. I haven't heard a damn word from her about this. She's a Democrat. And, of course, Mayor Karen Weaver. So all those numbers are there. And, if, by the way, if you think that just flooding the phones does nothing, you're wrong. If you followed me in East Chicago, Indiana, Ty and I were there a few weeks ago. The really awful situation there that, again, is getting no media attention. You have a predominantly poor African-American and Latino community. They were lead poisoned also, arsenic, bacteria, all that. And the city, basically, in this one housing complex, sent them a 10-day eviction notice telling them, this is the neighborhood you're moving to. Half of them were told, we're moving you to dangerous areas of Chicago. Not East Chicago, Indiana, Chicago. So the TYT Army started flooding the mayor's office, started flooding HUD's office. I'm not going to take full credit for it because who the hell knows why, but a judge stopped that. A judge decided to stop the forced evictions, and a lot of them have now been able to move on their own will and by choice to the destinations of their choice. So you calling does make a difference. So you got the numbers there. I'm going to put it on my personal Facebook too. I'll be interviewing the ACLU attorney this afternoon. I'm also going to be focusing while I'm here on the issue of tax liens. If you don't know, 8,000 residents are now facing tax liens on their homes for not paying their poison water bill. So essentially, first we poison you, and then we're going to take your home if you don't pay for the poison. So I'm going to interview residents who have received those tax liens. It's really a disgrace. In fairness, and credit to her, Mayor Karen Weaver has come out against those tax liens. There will be a vote among the Flint City Council tomorrow, Wednesday evening, to try, hopefully, and make an exception so people aren't facing evictions or foreclosures for not paying a poison water bill. Because, trust me, if this happened in my neighborhood in Long Island where I grew up and we were poisoned, we would not be paying water bills. We would have had smart water delivered to us for 6 months until the problem was fixed. So it seems that in poorer communities, certain skin colors, they're treated this way. But in more affluent, different skin color, there are more exceptions and, frankly, humane treatment put forth to those people. So that's the story. Again, Genesee County Prosecutor's Office. We're going to go interview the ACLU today. We're going to interview residents. Call those numbers. You could also go on youtube.com/TYTpolitics. Click on playlists. Flint is still a crisis. Why I want you involved, why I want, while I'm here, for you guys to get involved. I know there's a lot going on. I know Trump is apparently given all the state secrets to Russia and all this. I'm not belittling it, but I can only focus on one thing at a time. Right now I'm focused on Flint. I think what's going on nationally with Trump is important. But let me tell you something. If we don't rectify what's going on here, if we allow citizens to potentially face felony charges for voicing dissent, then let's all move to Canada. Because we already, by the way, we already have different laws for bankers versus us. We already have different laws for police versus us. But aside from all that, at one point we still had the right to protest. So if we no longer have the same laws, and we also don't have a First Amendment, then why the fuck are we going to stay here? I'll start the revolution right now. Canada has great food, single payer, they're nice. Thank you to my Canadian viewers watching. So, bottom line, as Bernie Sanders said, enough is enough. You cannot lock people up in jail for no reason, keep a cloud over them for 26 days, that's almost a month, where they don't know. I've talked to a lot of these residents. A lot of them are frankly depressed. And I would be depressed too if I was lead poisoned and then tossed in jail and I don't know if I'm facing criminal charges. So all the county needs to do, all the city needs to do is just come out with a short statement and say there will be no further investigation or charges. That's what needs to happen here. Unless there's some smoking gun that they're not communicating to the public, where they have video of one of these residents assaulting a police officer. If they had that, I think it would have been leaked already. It's like the Red Fawn case in Standing Rock. If you were following Standing Rock, you had a water protector, Red Fawn, October 27th of last year. She is tackled to the ground by 7 or 8 police officers. According to them, she then shot at a police officer. There's video to show that's like physically impossible. She'd have to be fucking Xena warrior princess to, while on the ground with 7 people over her, shoot at a police officer. She's been in jail in North Dakota since October, so that is almost 10 months. They have not provided a gun. They have not provided any evidence whatsoever. She's just in jail. And this is happening all over the country, whether it's North Dakota, Flint, Indiana, Baltimore. I mean, Ty, you grew up in some rough neighborhoods. They do this all the time to minorities and poor people. So I'm not going to stand for it. I'm here for a few days. I'm going to try to get this back out there. But please call those numbers. Don't just ask where the investigation is. Demand action. Share this on social media. Share this with your friends. Share it with your crazy Republican uncle who cannot believe that there's any injustice at all in the country. I share it with my dad who watches Fox News all the time. Hey, repetition, repetition. He gets it now. So that's the deal. We're going to get going before they squash my First Amendment. We'll be live again, probably interviewing the ACLU lawyer in a few hours, and we'll go from there. And by the way, it's Tuesdays, and you know what happens on Tuesdays? It's what is it, Thai Tuesdays? Thai Tuesdays. So we'll do a little video later where my amigo Thai will go on. I don't know if we're going to be sober, but we'll see what happens. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.